And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC basketball podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, we're going to be looking at the NBA Power Rankings because they were just released 23 hours ago. So we're going to go ahead and look at that. So let me just go ahead and pull it up on my screen real quick. But before we look at the power rankings for this week, we're going to go ahead and look at the power rankings from last week and see exactly, I'm going to make some predictions on what I think should change and, which teams should be moved up, which teams should be moved down, that sort of thing. And that's what we're going to end up talking about. So let me just go ahead and put this right over here so, I could go ahead and see the chat just in case any of you decide to comment. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and scroll down. Obviously, the Celtics, they're going to be number one, and they're also going to be number one going into the next week power ranking because I believe this team is going to be the biggest team that does not change. They're going to be number one yet again. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, I honestly think that the Timberwolves, I feel like they deserve to move down in the rankings, and they should move down all the way to 3 just because, I personally think that the Denver Nuggets should hold that second spot in the power rankings. That's just me, though. Oklahoma City, they're definitely going to move down. I remember the previous week from this rankings, they were 5. They might move all the way back down to 5, given how they just lost to the Lakers. And, losing to the Lakers, I understand, the Lakers are a very competitive team with LeBron James and all that, but still, losing to the Lakers is not ideal for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Clippers, I believe they're going to stay at the 4th spot right now, given how, again, they beat the Timberwolves, but now they end up losing to the Bucks. And they beat the Timberwolves because their defense was really, really good, but their offense was lacking with James Harden missing every single shot. Now, the Nuggets, again, like I said earlier, they should move up. They should not be 5. They should be top 3. They should be a top 3 team right now. They are incredibly dangerous because, again, unlike the Oklahoma City Thunder, they can actually beat the Lakers. So they should definitely move up in the rankings. And Jokic, Jamal Murray, we all know just how elite that they are, and we all know how good of a players they are. Cleveland should. Now, since from the time of this, Cleveland was ranked 2nd in the Eastern Conference, and since then they moved down to 3rd. So maybe they stick with the 6th spot, but I wouldn't be surprised if they move down to 7th. Now, the Dallas Mavericks, they lost a lot of big games last week. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some of the games that they lost. Their most recent loss in the schedule came against Philly without Joel Embiid, so that's definitely going to take a tank in their ratings. They also lost to the Boston Celtics. They beat the Raptors, and then they lost to the Cavs. So I wouldn't be surprised if this team ends up falling out of the top 10 completely and going down to an 11th spot. Would not be surprised to see the Dallas Mavericks drop all the way down there. The Phoenix Suns, now Devin Booker, he went down with an injury, and they've sort of been short-handed. So I wouldn't be surprised if because they've been short-handed, that's going to be taken into account, and they aren't going to drop in the power rankings. They're currently 6th in the Western Conference. However, they lost to the Rockets, even though they beat the Rockets the previous day. They beat the Lakers as well, and they actually lost to the Rockets twice. So maybe they don't even move. Maybe they actually move down from 8 to 9 going into these next power rankings, but we'll see going on later. The Bucks, they should probably move up, and they should probably flip-flop between the Suns and the Bucks. So the Bucks are going to move up to 8 or 7, and then the Suns are going to move down to 9 or 10, possibly. And the Knicks, they probably might stay the exact same. Even though, in my personal opinion, they should be higher, they have suffered from injuries, and with that in mind, that is going to prevent them from getting a higher spot in the power rankings. Just looking at their schedule real quick and the teams that they beat the Cavs without Jalen Brunson, so that's definitely going to help them in the power rankings. However, they did lose to the Golden State Warriors and the Pelicans. So both of those are competitive teams, as well as losing to the Boston Celtics. So with that in mind, they might not even be in the top 10 going in. Now, just looking a little bit farther down, the Sacramento Kings are probably going to just maintain that same spot. The Pacers, they're definitely going to move down. They're going to move down back to 14th. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and look at the updated power rankings and see exactly the results of what's to come. So obviously, like, so the Nuggets are going up to the second spot. So yeah, the Boston Celtics, they are the best team in the NBA right now by far. They hold the biggest lead in their conference, and there's like absolutely no way that any team in the East could possibly catch up to their record right now. And yep, I was right. The Denver Nuggets, they deserve to be in the top 3, and they are in the top 3 at the second spot. And I wasn't surprised with the Timberwolves dropping down in rankings whatsoever. Let's see. The Timberwolves are probably like 3rd, right? Really? OKC is 3rd. After losing to the Lakers, they decided to put them at 3rd? Really? So then maybe the Timberwolves are directly after the Oklahoma City Thunder, because that does not make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, I get the Thunder were on a pretty good winning streak, but losing to the Lakers should have made them tank like a lot. Let me go ahead and look at their schedule again. So they beat the Suns, but they lost to the Spurs. The Spurs are one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. So how on earth are they ranked number 3? And like, they beat the Rockets, and they beat the Rockets again, but like, sure, like, those are bottom of the barrel teams, and these are like not good teams that they're winning against. How are they ranked 3rd? I don't agree. Like that, this is just wrong. I really do not agree with this ranking whatsoever. I said that the Clippers were going to maintain the 4th spot, and they did. So the Timberwolves, they gotta be like the 5th seed. They gotta be the 5th, right? Okay, they are the 5th, and like, I don't agree with that. The Thunder and the Timberwolves, they should flip-flop spots. Like, the Timberwolves should be here in the rankings, and the Thunder should be here in the rankings. And I don't know, maybe this guy has a little bit of a bias towards the Thunder, but it does not make sense to me how this team could lose to the Spurs, literally one of the worst teams in the West, and still hold a top 3 spot. That does not make any sense to me. So moving on, wow, the Bucks, they moved all the way from, well, I was completely wrong. Like, I said the Bucks were going to move up, but I didn't expect they were going to move all the way up to 6. Granted, they did, like I said earlier, they were on a 6-game winning streak, so this has been the highest that they've been since losing Adrian Griffin, because I don't think that they've been higher than 7 or 8 in the power rankings. So this is very, very good news for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, let's see the next team. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Like I said, they should drop all the way down to around, like, last week they were 6, so they should drop. I believe I said that we're going to drop, like, below the top 10. Might have been a little bit too harsh on them. And, like, it makes sense that Cleveland is ranked number 7. I think the Knicks should be ranked higher. Like, it might just be because, like, I'm a big New York fan, but still, like, the Knicks, they've only gotten better. And they beat the Cavs without their best player, and without Julius Randle, and without OG Anunoby. So with that in mind, like, the Knicks should be ranked higher than this Cavs team. Like, maybe I get it, maybe the Cavs had a bad game, but still, I just don't agree with that. And, like, again, like, they benefit with Max Strus's game winner, beating the Mavs. What? Okay, that is a team that I did not expect to make it all the way up to the top 10. The Miami Heat somehow jumped from 13 all the way up to 8 in power rankings. And what? Seriously? The Miami Heat? Like, I mean, I understand that, like, they're a good team, and, like, they're a great team with Jimmy Butler. But at the same time, like, their prowess, that it comes in their prowess comes in the playoffs. So I'm very surprised to see them this high in the power rankings by only getting wins against the Kings. And yeah, that's basically it. The only important wins that they got were against the Kings, because they lost to the Denver Nuggets 103-97. So I'm very surprised to see this team in the top 10. Like, they haven't been in the top 10 whatsoever in any of the power rankings that I've done before. So seeing them in the top 10 is very, very surprising. The Mavs, also seeing them in the top 10 is also very surprising. Wait, so does that mean that the Suns are out of the top 10 in power rankings? You're telling me you'd replace the Suns spot for the Miami Heat? Are you serious? I mean, maybe it's because they don't have Devin Booker and the Suns are not at full strength. That might be the reason why they got replaced in the spot. But still, like, seriously? Anyways, the Dallas Mavericks, like I said that they were going to drop down like at least 1 or 2. So seeing them at 9 is actually pretty generous. I think they should have been 10. So wait a minute. That means the Knicks aren't in the top 10 in power rankings. What? The Suns aren't even in the aren't even in the top 10 anymore. Are they like 11th? Okay, there they are. They're just ranked below the Kings. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I'm not a big fan of the Sacramento Kings and their play. Like, I just don't think they have the experience that they need to like make a deep run in the playoffs. And like, I understand like this is just based off of like regular season things and like how they've been doing in the past week in the regular season, but like what they've been doing the past week in the regular season was losing to the Heat, losing to the Nuggets. Now they beat the Timberwolves, that's great, and then they lose to the Bulls. So like, why are they in the top 10? Why are they in the top 10? Does not make any sense to me, and I don't think that the Kings, pardon me for that noise, I don't think the Kings deserve to be in the top 10. They should be, like, ranked 12. They should stay at 12. Now, the Phoenix Suns, like, they're ranked 11th in their, in the power rankings. Very surprised to see them not in the top 10 for the first time in a while. They usually remain the exact same seed no matter what happens, or they usually remain the exact same ranking no matter what happens. And I'm very surprised to see them. So that means the Knicks got to be right after, right? The Knicks aren't even... I'm upset. The Knicks are not in the top 12. Where are the Knicks? They just beat the Cavs. What happened? Like, I understand, like, the Pelicans, like, I respect the Pelicans. They're a very organized team, and they have a very good big three with Zion, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum. But over the Knicks, just over the Knicks, are you serious? Just over the Knicks? The Knicks aren't even, like, they don't even have their best players, and they're winning a bunch of games without their best players. They should be ranked higher. But that's just me. The fact that the Sixers are moving up is criminal. The fact that the Sixers are moving up from where they were is absolutely criminal. They should be moving down. And they're gonna be. I have a prediction that they're going to be in the play-in very, very soon. And just looking at some of the games, like, I get it. They beat the Mavericks, they beat the Hornets, they lost to the Celtics, and they lost to the Bucks. So I guess that win against like the Mavericks sort of like definitely helped them out, going up against a bunch of these teams. And ending up winning the game. Like, Dallas is, like, very, very questionable for me on the defensive side of the ball, though. And, like, with the way that Dallas was playing against them, like, it was almost like they had a bad day, I guess you could say. They had a bad game. And while a lot of the players, like, they played well, there were certain players that didn't really show up when they needed them to. And that was the reason why they ended up losing. The Orlando Magic should be higher than the Miami Heat. I'm just saying, the Orlando Magic should be higher than the Heat. They have a higher seeding than the Heat right now. They have a better record. We've seen a lot more out of them in the regular season. I know they don't get talked about that much, but we've seen a lot more out of them in the regular season than I've seen from the Miami Heat. I'm very surprised to see them in below the Miami Heat. This is where the Heat should be. Like, literally, this is where the Heat should be. The Heat should be here, and the Orlando Magic should be here. These guys shouldn't even be in the top 20. And the Knicks, they should move up to here. And then the Suns, they should move up to here. Either that or you flip-flop the Mavericks moving up to here, and then the Suns moving down to the 9th seed here. Like, these power rankings are not really my favorite, and I don't really disagree with power rankings most of the time. So this is like the first time that I've like really disagreed with these power rankings. But we have a couple more minutes, so let's go ahead and look at a few more. Why not? The Lakers, they move up from 18 to 17. Obviously, like, beating the Clippers definitely, like, helps them in the power rankings, and they're going to have doubters. They are obviously going to have doubters, but when you got somebody like LeBron James, I never doubt. And there's a very, like, until he's out, unless he goes up against Denver, I don't see the Lakers really losing against anyone just because of LeBron James, but that's just me. And, wow, the Pacers are ranked 18th. And they move all the way down from 12 to 18. That is something I can get down with because they have great offense, but their defense is absolutely horrible. I say this every single time about the Pacers. Their defense is horrible. And that's something that's going to haunt them going into the postseason. And then we got the Chicago Bulls coming in at 19. And why don't we just come it off even and go off of 20? Houston Rockets, 20, so that makes total sense. And then the rest is bottom-feeding teams. So not really much that needs to be talked about with the power rankings anymore, given how I just went through that list. A little bit unhappy about how this list turned out. Not very happy, but let me know what you guys think of this list in the comments. Do you think it's accurate? Do you think it's good? Or do you think that the person who made these power rankings did not have a good night and was on something? But regardless, with that, we are out of time for the with this segment, and we are out of time with the GSMC Basketball Podcast, and that is the end of the show. Thank you guys for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates, as well as look at some of the shorts that all of us do, because we do like giving a lot of recaps, well, not really recaps, but a lot of updates on the sports world. In my particular end, I do the basketball, so I give a little bit of shorts on what's going on in the basketball world. So be sure to tune into some of that. But other than that, thank you guys once again for tuning in. Oh, I almost forgot. Before I end this the show, I like to remind everybody to please use the link in the description to get your comments recognized and to donate. It definitely helps the show. That is GSMCPodcast.net. The link is in the description, and it is displayed below the ticker on every single show segment. And that is the end of the show. I am your host, Nelson. Thank you once again. And as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to